Is it Thursday?
So good afternoon, guys. Jay, John, Teresa, how's it going? They have.
Yeah, you're full screen. I don't know if what's different. Something's different about the whole thing.
I'm full screen.
Yeah.
And but that would be on your side, wouldn't it, Jay?
Yes.
So I don't have. You must have me pinned. I can't control what you see.
Got it.
You got it?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. This is going to be the Cabo edition. If you wonder, the background looks a little bit different because we are in Mexico. And so it's 3 hours. We're on Pacific time here, so it's going to be 10:30 or 10. And it's really fun for my 8:30 role plays, which is really 5:30 in the morning.
You ever been there before?
Oh yeah, we go here every year.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, we come here. Yeah, we like it. Got a nice little place we come to and get our walk in. We work in the morning, take a little bit of time in the afternoon, and so nothing's going to keep me from the script class.
Cool.
Did you guys seen any change in the market out there yet? Is it still pretty hot? Any changes? I'm hearing some rumblings in Canada that it's starting to slow down a little bit.
It's slowing down up here, and I can't find any sellers. It's all buyers, and there's no inventory. But I'm sure you've heard that a million times.
And where is that, Jay?
Panama City, Florida, 30A, just the Panhandle.
Yep. Nice. Who else wants to comment based on where you guys are, if you're seeing any kind of a shift in the market? Well, we got 1 o'clock. We're ready to get rolling. So here we go. Another edition of Scripts and Dialogues. Denny Grimes here, Mastery Role Play. And as I was just chatting with the people online early, yes, this is a different background. I'm calling you from Cabo, and I would do this whole presentation in Espanol. I just don't know how to speak Spanish. So anyone have anything you want to bring up? You can put it in the chat. You can raise your hand, or don't even have to raise your hand. We've got a small group. People come in generally a little bit late. While you guys are maybe thinking about something you want to talk about, I want to give you the thought of the day. So somebody who is in a quiet spot, maybe just let's have a conversation. Who would like to have a conversation with me? I promise you, I'm not going to put you on the spot. Maybe want you to be a little bit of a seller. Who would step up and work with me? Oh, I see. Are you raising your hands? Go ahead. If you can unmic yourself, just speak up. Whoever's raised their hand, just step. I think you can chat. Talking is permitted. Jay, can you talk?
I'll talk, Danny.
I saw an MT on there. I don't know who that is. So let's have it just chat. So you guys listen here just for a second. So I almost share all the time when I do a role play with my team, I seem to learn something. And so the thought of the day is this. We have been practicing seller scripts. Hey, will you charge less commission? That's not new to us. People in California on the West Coast are having sellers basically being very, very competitive because of lack of inventory. Real estate agents are starting to, discount, cannibalize, you name it. Agents can get real desperate. However, here's my thought. And so Jay, you and I are just talking. So what do you think when sellers, do you think it would be fair for sellers to basically think that selling their house is a specific number, a determinable number, and it does not matter who sells it. I mean, basically, it will always end up at the same spot regardless of what agent you use. Do you think that's a true statement?
I think in this market, it's true.
Okay. Well, that would be interesting. Let me give you a scenario, guys. If an agent says they should list the house at 600, the buyer had purchased the home 4 months ago for 540,000, put some money in it. They got 540 in it. In 4 months, the agent says they should list it for 600. And there's an offer, and the seller's listed at 690. And then there's an offer at 720. Do you think that there's room in there that, number one, the seller could maybe get a different number? I mean, point number one, let me see if I can do a better job of this. That seller has had offers from 600 to over 700. So do you think that basically when there's multiple offers, they're all coming in at the same relative number? No. I mean, you would say no, right, Jay? Because I just
No.
demonstrated that. So if all the buyers perceive the value to be different, is there a huge opportunity for a seller, or a huge danger for a seller to maybe pick one of the wrong offers and leave money on the table?
Yes.
And so here's my thought of the day. Generally speaking, when sellers are attempting to negotiate with us on commission, with the exception of maybe California, are they not attempting to maybe shave off? Would you not agree? Maybe 1% or maybe 0.5%?
Yes.
So let's put this in perspective. The next time you have a conversation with a seller that wants to basically save some money on commission, quantify that. Well, the other agent said, and they would do that for your commission less 1%. Let's say that 1%, we're talking about a $600,000 house. That's $6,000. In this marketplace, have you seen houses sell, regardless of price point, more than 1% above? More than 1% above where you think maybe it would have sold for. I mean, 1% is minimum, right? And if they were to hire the wrong agent, is it possible, or let me just say it this way, if they were able to hire the right agent, is it possible that agent could get listed more aggressively, negotiate more aggressively to put more than 1% into the seller's pocket?
Yes.
Yes.
So what I want you to do, rather than when you say what's more important to you, what you sell it for or net, where do you take that conversation? How do you demonstrate to that seller how you can get them more? Because we're finding, and it's not unusual in this marketplace, that there could be, like, for example, in the example just a second ago, a seller is getting an offer at 600,000 and 700,000 plus 700,000, $100,000 difference. And 1% would be like $7,000. So let's have that conversation. How would you like? So Jay, would you just? I mean, right? I think are you still mic'd up?
I am.
Okay, let's just role play. So be the seller, and let's say you're asking me for a discount on commission, right? And now I ask you the standard question: what's more important, what you pay, Jay, or what you net?
What I net.
Right. Okay. So, all right. So, my wife's in the kitchen. I'm sure you can hear that. So, I believe that sellers somehow think. So I'll just ask a question. Jay, do you think all real estate agents are the same?
No, there's different ones. I'm looking for someone that can negotiate the best deal.
Okay. Well, that's great. Well, I think I come from the position where probably sellers many times they think that their price is they're going to end up on the same price no matter who they hire. I want you to know that that is not true at all, because when you're seeing offers that could be $100,000 apart or even wider than that, and with the wrong agent, it's certainly possible that the seller is going to get bad advice. So Jay, let me ask you, so you're asking me to do it for 1% less, is that correct?
Right.
Well, if I can show you how I could probably put 10% more in your pocket, would that 1% be an issue at all?
No, it'd be meaningless.
In fact, would you give me 5% more than my competitor if I could show you how I can demonstrate I can get 10% more in your pocket?
Sure, I'd like to see how you can do that.
Okay, so for the example, then I would say that this is how I'd say it. Okay, so let me ask you then, Jay, in this particular example, that a seller had an offer of $600,000 and won over $700,000. Now, which one obviously might have been a better one for the seller?
Obviously, the 700.
Right. How did that happen? How do you think it happened where a buyer came in and said they were willing to pay $600,000 and another buyer was willing to pay $700,000?
Obviously, they must have seen more value in your home or in this home.
Yes. And that buyer may have been coming outside the area. Can you see that maybe an agent that markets maybe to California, the Northeast, they could be pulling in buyers outside of this area, like I'm in Florida. Outside of Florida, they come in here and they basically look at the real estate value here as being cheap. That could be a benefit and maybe put more money in your pocket.
Yes.
And so if that agent would have earned his 1%, would you not agree?
Yes.
So you're attempting to save $7,000, and in this particular case, that particular seller was putting $100,000 more into their pocket. That agent earned his fee, but you would have no problem hiring that agent and giving them their full fee, right?
Correct.
So it's kind of a oversimplified example of when they say 1%, put a number on it. So it's a $500,000 house. You're attempting to save $5,000. How many, and then I would show them the past sales and how that basically the offers are coming way over the past sales, much greater than the $5,000. In fact, probably close to 5 or 10 times that much. And so when you have that conversation and you can demonstrate that, particularly if you can use a third party story and you all have them in your marketplace, I think that I would hope that commission objection would melt away. So any thoughts on that? Any pushback? Anyone want to play hardball with me and maybe be a little tougher on me from a seller's perspective?
Hey, Denny.
Yeah.
Hey, so if I were to send someone a template showing what you're saying, like from A to B, on the price point on your value, your top dollar value. Let's say I make a template with your top dollar value considerations for, A being exact, B being under, and then C being the irrational. How would I, if someone were to question me on sending them the, correct information, and they actually want me to prove this, because a lot of these sellers are very, there's a lot of lawsuits, basically is what I'm getting at.
Right.
So where would I go from there if someone actually cornered me and said, hey, I want you to show me proof that I'm going to get this more money. So without me putting myself in any liability, how would I go about this?
Well, I'm going to show you a very low tech example here. I'm going to draw because I had something I wanted to share with you. That's Moses, right? Was that right, Moses? Was that Moses?
Yes, it is.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the graph here. So you guys, you can see that, right? So that's the graph, top dollar. Sorry, I just can't share my screen. This is what's happening, guys, and this is how I would show this. Normally, I'm just going to show you, let me point to this. Normally, we have point A up here and point B. In a normal market, your past sales are right below the line here. What's happening in this marketplace is that I'm going to just draw this and show you. Comp 1, comp 2. What's happened in the market we're in is the top market value is significantly above past comparables. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah.
That delta right here, the distance between these past sales and top market value is astronomical. And so when you would demonstrate basically an agent that would go in there and say, all right, so Moses, what do you think? You be a seller. Have you sold a house recently, Moses?
Not this year.
Okay. Do you know what they teach in real estate school? Pretty much if you're in a market like this, that you know what they teach us we should do when you look at a market that's moving up in the seller's market, how much ahead of the market we should price it? Do you know what they teach us?
No.
10%. They're saying if a home is selling for $400,000 and it's then you have an upward moving market, you might want to list it no higher than 440. And yet we're finding homes sell 5, 10, 20, 30% over asking price. So going back to your question, you want to know how you demonstrate that without getting into trouble or a lawsuit?
Well, I would like to, of course, always be safe and avoid liability. With all these new restrictions, it seems like the odds are really turned against real estate. And I'm just trying to contemplate, if I'm talking to a seller who's totally irrational, but at the same time, I need to work and get his listing. So if he's demanding a certain number, I just want to know how to show him what I know and how, I can best help him without getting sued.
Okay, well, I don't know about the sued part. I mean, the issue, let me just take that on as a unreasonable seller. I think it would be a great one. Yes. Because we have some people. So Moses, what is your expectation for your home?
I would like to get an irrational amount of money and on my own, write off as much possible deferrals as I can.
And what is that number?
I don't know. I'd be okay with 1.2 this year.
1.2. And you think that's wild pie in the sky number?
Right now, I think it's low based on what's going on with the demand.
So you want one? Are you saying you'd be willing to list your home with me today at 1.2?
Yes, definitely.
And you think that's low?
Yes, given you get me the best qualified intermediary and meet all my requirements.
Okay, so I'll take the listing at 1.2, right?
Sure.
All right, where's the problem thus far? Where's the potential lawsuit thus far?
Well, it depends. Right now, this is all word of mouth. Nothing is in writing, so I could actually say anything later, and you'd have to prove it in court.
Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm going to take the listing at 1.2. What I still don't.
Okay.
So the issue is if you list the home at 1.2, there's
Yes.
only three outcomes, right?
Okay.
Let's say it doesn't sell.
Okay.
Are you in for any potential lawsuit at that point?
Well, I'm going to switch now. I'm going to be a hostile buyer, and I'm going to say I want 1.2.
You're a hostile.
So that's mine. That's all mine.
You're a hostile buyer now?
Hostile seller. I'm sorry. I'm
right.
Just trying to stay on topic with you, but at the same time get the point across, which I want the 1.2.
All right. So if I were to list at 1.2 today, you're ready to move forward?
Yes, but I want all of it.
What do you mean you want all of it?
I'm the hostile seller. I want the whole 1.2 for myself this year.
I mean, so that's what you want to walk away with?
Yes.
So therefore we have to build in closing costs and fees?
Okay. I don't care how you do it. I just want you to do it.
Well, now again, it sounds like, and if you're new in real estate, okay, this is hostile sell. That's okay. I mean, I like hostile people. It looks like he's talking about a net listing. Is that what you're saying? You just want to walk away with 1.2?
Okay, so this is based on real email that I actually have. I don't care how you do it. I just want you to do it as a bottom line.
Okay.
I want 1.2.
However, I just need clarity.
Sure.
All right, so you guys, I don't want you to freak out when you have someone that's freaking out, okay? Just pretend like you're an Uber driver and the freaked out client's in the back seat. Just take me somewhere. I don't care where you take me somewhere. Like, you need some direction, right? If you don't know what you're doing, stop and ask a question. You will look more stupid doing something that you don't know what you're doing versus asking what you think might be a stupid question. So Moses, help me out here. You want 1.2, I get that. You're saying it over and over again.
Yes.
Then are you saying that's what you want to walk away with?
Yes, that's correct.
So then we need to list it, and let's say at 1.4.
And okay, so I want you to send me a guarantee. You know, I want you to guarantee me 1.2.
Okay, so Moses, where do you live? What state?
California. I'm in the SF Bay Area.
Of course. All right, of course you do. So if you had a seller that wanted to do that, okay, so short of a guarantee,
send me the guarantee and we'll go forward.
actually, I don't even know if I would waste the time anymore with a guy.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would waste, you know, what I'm attempting to say is, okay, you guys, I have several rules. I have 3 rules for me to work with a client.
Youngin.
To fit into my box. Watch out, you guys are hot mic'd. Number 1 is they have to understand the doctor-patient relationship. I mean, I'm the doctor, they're the patient. If they know more than me, then I'm just not gonna work with them. I'll take an overpriced list, and I'll take a seller that wants more than maybe the market will bear. However, if they want me to put it in guaranteed, at what point can that individual go into any professional and ask for a guarantee? You know, doctor, dentist, I want you to work on my root canal, and I want to guarantee it's not going to hurt. The only way that they could guarantee me that is over-medicate me until I die, and I'll have no pain whatsoever. Is that really what they want? So Moses, that guy, you might want to, and I'll tell you, I heard something today that I wanted to share with you. Does anybody have any pesky clients, buyers or sellers out there? Anybody have a pesky buyer or seller?
What do you mean by pesky?
Pesky. I mean, they're unrealistic. They're not cooperative. They're not fun people. And their expectations are out of whack. I mean, at some point in time, real estate agents they spend so much time with people that they have not made a sale with. They're afraid to let them go because they've spent so much time with them. They can't afford to let them go. Everyone runs into pesky people. If you have a pesky person that is giving you a problem, there's only one solution, and it's only because of one issue. You don't have enough business. Therefore, you have to focus on and work with pesky people. And what the guy said today, which was awesome, he said, go out and get 10 more. If you got a pesky seller or overpriced listings that aren't selling, just go get 10 more. Then sooner or later, you can afford to fire those people, or they can just deselect from working with you and you won't even care. We work ourselves into a frenzy sometimes working with people that fall outside the bounds of the bell-shaped curve. Remember, the bell-shaped curve is basically you have outliers. The outliers are not profitable. You got to work with the center of the curve. That's where the profit is. And if you're working with pesky people like the one Moses is talking about that wants a guarantee, well, if you just had 10 more buyers or 10 more sellers, then you could say bye-bye to those types of people and your life would be great. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So Moses, do you have an agent out there that you just don't get along with? If you do, why don't you refer that guy to them?
I like that.
So let's move forward. Let's move forward on something else.
Hey,
Let's
Denny.
Yeah. Is that Jeff?
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to comment on that real quick because, we used to teach this in we used to train finance managers at car dealerships. And there's people that'll come in and will not buy a warranty no matter what you do. And one of the things I just want to point out, like in that scenario, obviously it's 1.2 million. You're thinking that's a big listing. But, it's exactly what you just said. There's a point where there's 10% of the people that you will never do business with, and you don't need to script practice on how to do business with those 10% of the people. You really got to focus on how you take those people in the middle, like you said, and get more opportunities with those people. So I think that's important to remember when you're script practicing that spending a lot of time trying to overcome objections for unrealistic people that aren't going to be realistic. There aren't really great solutions for those types of people.
No, I think we said it, somebody said it years ago, you can't cure crazy, and crazy isn't profitable. And sometimes if you're working with a couple or a partnership or whatever, you got to make sure that no one's crazy in the whole transaction. The market can be crazy, individual people can't be, because you just can't, there's no script that will work on somebody who doesn't want to buy or doesn't want to sell. So let's move into something, let's move into a buyer situation where the buyer basically is calling in, and we've just had this happen, believe it or not. The buyer's calling in and only wants to work with a listing agent. Have you ever had a call like that? Who would like to take that on? I'll be the buyer calling in, and you can take me on, and basically through the question-based role play that we've been practicing, handle that and see if you can talk some sense into me. Well, and I got some real pros on here. I got some experienced people. Where are you?
I'll do it.
Jay, you ready?
You want me to be the listing agent?
No, you're not. I'm calling up, I'm calling you up. Hey, ring, Jay, hey, thanks for answering the phone. Hey, listen, I've got this house I'm looking at 123 Maplewood Street, and I'm curious, I'd like to see it, but I really only want to work with a listing agent. Is that your home?
It is.
No, it's not.
Okay. You're saying I'm the buyer's agent. He's calling me and saying, I want to just work with the listing agent.
Yeah, I'm calling off Zillow, so you get the call or whatever, and you're
Okay.
not the listing agent, right?
Got it.
So are you the listing agent on that home?
No.
All right, awesome. Well, I really wanted to work with a listing agent. So what is the price on that?
600,000.
You don't seem too interested in working with me, Jay.
I am interested in working with you, but I'll tell you why you don't want to work with a listing agent.
Okay. Why don't I want to work with a listing agent?
Because he's not going to have the motivation, because he makes more commission if you only work with him.
All right, Jay. Now, can you do that with a question? Ask me, when you have a bull, and I'm being a bull, I'm giving Jay a hard time, really. And I mean, he's stepping into a hard role play right off the bat. It's kind of like putting a pitcher in and not even letting him throw a ball or two. Sometimes when you have a hard head, you need to hit them upside the head with something that makes them stop to think. So Jay, what might you ask me?
Why would you want to work with a listing agent when his real motivation is to work for the person he's selling the property for? Why wouldn't you want to work with me, where my motivation is to get you the best possible deal for the property that you're interested in?
Okay, so notice attack. Now that would be an awesome question. And again, if you a brick upside the head, so you want to work with someone, you want to work with someone that's working for the seller. How about that in a bottle?
Agreed.
So you want to work with someone who's helping the seller?
Yes. I mean, no, I don't want to work with someone that's helping the seller.
Okay, that's great. Now that is an angle. What would be, and anyone, Jay, you can hang on there. What else would be another brick upside the head, you guys?
Hey, Denny, have you ever been to court?
You got to get with Moses. You guys are on the same wavelength here today.
No, you ever been to court, Denny?
Oh, I see. I know where you're going. Sure. I've watched Judge Watner too. I understand court.
Well, let me ask you something. If you were accused of murder, would you like the prosecutor to represent you? Do you think you do a good job of trying to get you off?
Okay, there's another angle. Good one. Who's got another one? Nice job. Who's got another brick upside the head? Why don't you ask the question? I'll go back to you, Jay. Jay, you want to let the listing agent show you the home, is that right?
No.
Yeah, yes you do.
Okay.
You're now calling in and you want to work with the listing
Okay,
agent.
I'm calling out. Yeah,
Sorry.
I want the listing agent to actually show me the home.
What is the question that you're begging to ask him? What is the question that is so natural right now you want to ask?
Why?
Yeah, why do you want to work with that agent?
Yeah,
Yeah.
why do you want to use just a listing agent?
And when you ask it, why don't you ask it like, really? Why do you want to do that? Like, are you nuts? So why do you want to do that, Jay?
Because they're going to be more open with me and probably negotiate the best deal because they're not having to pay another agent.
I see. And then we're going to follow the formula. Would there be any other reason for that?
Well, I think the best reason is that they don't have to, all these realtors, they end up splitting their commissions anyway. So why even deal with another realtor when I can go directly to who's listing the property and obviously get the best deal possible?
Okay. Now, when they go to that point, who's got the comeback to that? However, we got clarity. Most likely, they're gonna attempt to save some money, right? I've heard some people say, well, they just know more about the property, or in this particular market, this may be the toughest one to overcome, is if they're working with the listing agent and the listing agent has both sides in a multiple offer situation, they may have a leg up, which is probably true. So how would you combat that? They're attempting to save money. Anyone?
Denny, wouldn't you be working with an unethical agent if he's willing to put your offer in because he's getting both sides as opposed to just getting the sell side?
No way.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about it being unethical. I mean, if he's helped me get a good buy in a house, is that being unethical?
But is he putting your deal ahead of other deals that might be a little better for the seller because he's getting both ends?
Yeah, well, it's not my problem. I just want a good deal.
The seller wants as much money as possible. So if the seller wants as much money as possible and the buyer is trying to save, both of them can't save it. So the seller is trying to save. If the agent is giving him cut on the commission, he wants that money as well. So we can't give it to the buyer if the seller is asking for it as well. So only one person can save. I'm just kind of thinking out loud.
No, actually, that is a script that is used a lot, that two people can't save the same commission.
So Denny, what I'm hearing you say is you want the agent to represent the seller and you also want the same agent to represent you. Is that correct?
I guess, I get confused by the represent part. However, yeah, I mean, I think, yes, I'll just give you the yes.
So how do you think the agent can serve two masters?
Well, what do you mean?
Well, he would be looking out for the best interest of his seller and you would want him looking out for your best interest also, wouldn't you?
Now you used a tie down. Now this is a good strategy. This is a good lever point to ask the question. This is, you're going right where I wanted you to go. However, when you make a statement and use a tie down, that's kind of the cheating question. How would you ask the question? How would you put fear? See, I think there's going to be some advantage that if I work with a listing agent, I'm going to save some money. So, however, how do you put that doubt in my mind?
Do you want to be
right track?
Do you want to be coached by the team you're playing against? Because that's what you're doing. You're actually asking to be coached in this transaction by someone that's playing for the other team. Okay, now that is an interesting analogy. I like that. Well, what do you mean? Because you're going down the right trail. That team is the seller team. If you hire the seller's agent, he's on that team, not your team. Everything is about winning for the seller, not you. Okay, well, that's the question. Ask me. Remember, when you ask me and I have to think about it, I'm listening to my inner voice. My inner voice is much more powerful than your voice. Ask me a question that makes me think about that. Why don't you say, Jay, when you talk to
this is where I would go with it, okay? Let me ask you, have you met the listing agent yet, Jay?
No,
And I see that this house has been on the market a couple of weeks. Do you think that the listing agent probably knows the seller much better than you?
yes,
And then who might he be more impressed, more likely to be willing to impress, you or the seller?
the seller.
You see how I walked you into that just by a series of questions? And basically it was the same one. You're being coached by the other team. You're going to, somebody else used the example, you're using somebody else's attorney. You're just leading them down the path of making them self-discover that may not work for their benefit. One more reason in this market that if you run into the call, and I'm still shocked that people want to shop like this because it's not a proven method. What is probably one that will work the best if you have somebody calling in that wants to look at a house and only work with a listing agent? What is the biggest takeaway in this market particularly?
Don't have somebody continuously looking after their best interest and finding the right home. They're going to just keep missing them.
Right. Well, right. Well, that's right on the same line. So basically, let me ask you, and who was that just spoke up?
Reagan.
Reagan, let me ask you this. So are you basically attempting to look at every house you look at, are you attempting to look at it with a listing agent?
Yes.
How is that working for you? Now, why did I ask that question? Why did I ask that question? She's still looking, right?
Yes.
So it's probably not working so good. So how's that working for you?
It's difficult to get a hold of these listing agents sometimes.
Yes, and here we go. Now, let me say, so we're having a conversation right now. I could get you into that house. I mean, we're having a conversation now. I could have you in that house maybe before that listing agent ever calls you back. Have you seen basically, let me ask you, there's no right or wrong answer. You're in this market as a buyer. Is it working in your favor or working against you?
Well, we haven't been looking that long, but we haven't been able to be successful yet either.
Have you seen some houses you might be interested in and found that they were sold before you could get there?
Yes.
So do you think you want a plan, maybe a system of being the first one in line instead of the third one in line in which you're too late?
Yes, of course.
So then would it be to your advantage to have one person looking for you and scheduling appointments, or versus trying to schedule 5 different people in a row?
Yes.
And if I could help you save maybe the same amount of money, if not more, wouldn't you want to use a proven way of doing it? Hired one agent to look out for your interest. And again, if you'd like to see that house on Maplewood, I'm available today at 3, or would 4 be better? So it's just,
yes.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'd like to wait for the agent to call me back first to see if he can get me in sooner. It's trying to be difficult.
That's okay. I got that. And how long are you going to wait for that agent to call you back?
4 o'clock, and then I can meet with you.
So let me ask you, what's really more important to you? Working with a listing agent or getting the house you want at the price you're willing to pay?
The house I want.
Well, why don't we see if we can make that happen? I'm available at 3, or at 4 would be better. I'm not going to quit.
Okay.
Now, the longer you're in this and the more customers you have, the less likely you're going to be patient to put up with the marginal types of buyers, the ones that are pesky. And if you had like 5 other appointments, or, like the old fashioned phones that had the other lines, and when they're on hold, they're blinking. Does anybody remember those types of things?
Yes.
When you had all those lines waiting and all those customers, I mean, your tolerance for people that don't want to fit into the way you do business is going to be very short. I was talking to someone today that had an unrealistic seller. And let me see if I can think of the scenario here real quick. And, Well, actually, we just kind of talked about it. I mean, the seller was very unrealistic, kind of like Moses was attempting to be. And the bottom line is that she just didn't have any better clients to work with. So that is one that came up this week. Anybody have a request from the floor?
Danny,
Buyer or seller situation?
can I ask one more thing on the exact point you're talking about? So
Yeah, Jay, sure.
how do you handle a sophisticated buyer that says, hey, listen, I know this business and I'm going to offer full price. I don't need to deal with you. I'm dealing with the seller's agent. And when I talk to the seller's agent, I'm going to tell them I'm making a full price offer. I know you're going to make 6% instead of 3%. You know, this offer is going to be better than anything in reality to your seller. How do you handle that particular commentary when someone hits you up with that?
Okay, so I mean, so you're going to make it a full price offer with the listing agent, is that correct?
Correct.
Have you used that method before?
No,
And what makes you think it's going to be successful?
because that listing agent that normally makes 3% on 95% of all his transactions is going to make 6%. And so now that listing agent should be able to discount their rate and that put more money in that seller's pocket, which is his obligation or her obligation.
I got that. So what if it goes over asking price? What if another offer comes in higher than yours, then what?
Yeah, then I guess all bets are off.
Okay, then you have to start over again, right?
Right.
And then, so tell me, let's just talk about that. You have to start over again. What is the first thing you're going to do? When you start, when that house is sold, what do you do next?
Look for another house.
Okay, so you find another house, right? Then what?
And we start the process over again. I find the next house I want and I approach the seller's agent and the conversation is, I'm going to make a full price offer and you normally make 3%, not 6%. So go to work, sell your client's house and put more money in their pocket.
So let me ask you, from the time that you lost the house that we just talked about till you find the next house, how much time can go by there? There's not a lot of inventory out there. So how much time can go by before when you lost the one house and you find another house? How much time can go by?
A lot.
And during that time, do you think homes are selling all the time?
Yes.
And you don't even get a crack at it. And even when you do identify that the house, I finally see the house. Now you have to get a hold of the listing agent to let you see the house, and you could repeat the process over and over again. Is that not right?
Yes.
Would you, if I could just spend 5 minutes, if there was a better way of doing this, would you want to know about it?
Sure, but I still don't understand why everyone's on the seller's team. So why would the seller agent not want to make more money? And why would the seller not make more money if we cut out one of the agents?
Well, we don't really make more money. The listing agent doesn't make more money. And I want you guys to get through your head that, and this is kind of when you, we call it double dipping in Florida. My wife in Alaska, they call it hoggers. And I don't know what else you guys call it when you double dip a listing. I just want you to understand, economically, there is no benefit to selling your own listing. Economically, there's not. Logistically, there's some advantages of handling both sides of the transaction and controlling both sides because you don't have another agent. You can, there's some economies of scale on the control. However, if you have the listing, right, it's going to sell anyway. And if you have a buyer, they're going to buy something anyway. The sum total of those two transactions will equal you double dipping your own listing. So when you look at it from that mindset, in fact, from a legal standpoint, you've seen, you guys were talking about going to court like today a lot. There's certain liabilities you have. When you actually double end your transactions, you got to pretty much guard yourself against, particularly in a multiple offer market. What do you think other agents think that when they find out their offer wasn't accepted and when it finally goes or closes and you publish that they see that you were the one that handle the transactions. And according to the code of ethics, if they ask you if you are involved in the other side or anyone in your company, you have to tell them that. So I'm not saying don't sell your own listings. It's just a myth to think that you've just double-ended a transaction, you've made more money. You just get it all at the same day at closing. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yes.
I'm kind of weird like this. However, because in a multiple offer situation, if all things being equal, I just soon not sell all my listings, let somebody else sell it, and we sell other people's listings. That way it's just simpler. So I would ask if there was a better way to buy property, how many people out there basically what percent of the people use the method of going to the listing agent, like this buyer that knows it all? That's the way he wants to do it. That's like a real estate agent going out and getting one transaction and sitting on that one until it closes, going out and get another transaction. There's no economy, there's no flow, because he has to identify the property. By the time he identifies a property, he has to get a hold of the listing agent, and then the listing agent has to let them in. And then the whole process starts. By that time, there's probably it's been exposed to the market because he doesn't necessarily see it on day one. And by the way, if it makes it through into the main market, is there a good chance that basically it's already been screened by the listing agent's pool of buyers? Technically speaking, that know-it-all buyer would be better off to be with one agent that would be pre-screening everything and making the first call to them. We had a role play that was going on today. In fact, somebody just called me on it, and they did not want to sign a loyalty agreement, a buyer. They just said, hey, look, when you find the right house, call me. So they wanted to play the field. They wanted many different buyers agents to basically be on the lookout for a home for them. Now, let's say that's me. Hey, look, I got 30 people on the phone call here today. I want all you guys, you find me a home, I'll buy it. Who can talk some sense into me? Who can talk me off the ledge and get me to be loyal to you via questions?
Repeat the scenario again, Denny.
I'm a buyer. I'm a buyer, and if you find me a home, I'm happy to buy it from you. I'm not going to sign a loyalty agreement. You have to, I've got a lot of agents looking. So Jeff,
right, Denny.
If you can find a buyer, then that'd be great.
All right, Denny. So if I find you a house that you're happy with, you'd be happy to work with me on that.
Yeah, bring me a house. I mean, I'm a buyer. I'm a solid buyer. You bring me a house, and I'll buy it from you.
All right, Denny.
It doesn't have to be your listing. Just tell me. Just make me available. Or make me aware of a house that I can buy.
Okay, so to understand, you don't want to sign, or right now you're not ready to sign a loyalty listing. What is it about that agreement that concerns you?
Well, I think I'm just going to be better off to have 10 people out there looking for houses for me. So I don't want to be locked down to one.
Okay, so you feel like one person wouldn't be able to find you the right home as easily as 10 different people searching for a home for you.
Yeah, I think I got 10 sets of eyes, right? That seems to work in my favor.
So Denny, are you familiar with the MLS, the multiple listing service that we as agents use to find houses?
Sure. Who doesn't know about that?
Okay, great. So would it be safe to say that all 10 of us agents would have the same access to the same tools and be looking at the same houses?
Oh, I guess. But you
For
guys,
the most part,
you have some things in your pockets. I heard of those like pocket things, and you have, new listings coming on that I heard that are sold even before they hit the market. So I think that my thinking is that you guys might be thinking of me when one of those listings come around.
let me ask you a question, Denny. I'm just asking the question. Do you think that if I had 2 or 3 buyers that I was working with actively, that we had an agreement, and I was exclusively representing them, looking out for their best interests and trying to find them a home, knowing that they are only working with me. And I had a couple buyers who were working with any agent that found them a house. Who do you think I would probably share those types of listings with if I came across them first? The buyer who I may or may not end up working with, or someone who, has decided that they want to work with me and have me help guide them through the process of finding the perfect home.
Now, if you guys were like distracted or whatever on that particular question that Jeff asked, that is an awesome question.
A little long, but
Yeah, you can make it a little shorter. And however, so just while I've got your attention, the issue is this. I'm happy to do it. However, so let's just reverse it. Jeff, you're the buyer. Is it okay? I mean, I have people that basically that have signed the loyalty agreement and I have to see first. So if it's all right with you, if I run across something that they're not interested in, I'll let them see it first. And if they're not interested in it, I'll pass it along to you. Is that okay?
so you wouldn't offer it to me first?
Well, let me ask you a question. If you had limited food, would you feed your family first and feed others next?
Absolutely.
Well, they're my family. Now you can be part of my family too, if you'd like. If you want to join my family and let me, help you find that house, then I'll include you and let you see everything first. Other than that, I'll have to let the other people see it first. And if there's anything left, I'll be happy to call you with it. How's that?
Denny, I've never been a big fan of leftovers.
I know. So anyway, Jeff, you were going down that trail. And again, I wanted people to know that. Now I'll give you the opportunity. Ask the question succinctly.
Denny, all right, let me stop for one moment. Denny, would you typically take care of your family first, or would you help anybody else that came along in a situation where sorry, I'm off track because I'm thinking about you feeding the family first versus back to where I was.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. I mean, this is what it's all about. You notice him when he started down the path, because he's not practiced that script. It didn't feel right, so he stopped. That's what this is all about, you guys. And many times, and he was right on the track. In fact, he didn't even ask the question bad. However, you want to make the question shorter if you can. So
Yeah,
go
Denny,
back to where you were.
So typically, Denny, typically agents are working with and representing the best interests of their clients. If you had called an attorney to ask a question and the attorney had several paying clients that needed help with things, do you think the attorney would take care of them first, or he would go ahead and answer your questions when he has paying clients that need his help?
Okay, so just grading you, that's a great story. It's a great analogy. Is it any shorter?
Yeah, that's thinking on the fly, not short.
Only people hate attorneys. I am one, and trust me, I wouldn't use the attorney line.
Yeah. So hey, all right, I'll give you a short example just for that same question. So, hey, Denny, right now it's tax times, right? Do you think do you think if you call up an accountant and want to ask him a bunch of tax questions and you're not one of his clients, he's going to answer those for you over taking care of his paying clients?
I still think your first one was stronger. What you said, let me take you back to it, because you were right on. Look, I've got some people that I already have loyalty agreements with.
All right. So going back to me, not the example of trying to use an example.
How succinctly can you put that loss into my mind?
Denny, I, like many agents, are currently working with multiple clients who have signed loyalty agreements. Do you think that if I came across a great house, I would want to share that with someone that I'm not working with first, or I would want to share it with clients that I have a working relationship with that we've been actively in this process together for the, for a period of time.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. Probably when you say working with, and again, I don't want to drill down too deep on that. I'm giving people, I want people to understand that that's where the rubber meets the road. And listen, I've got some folks that I've already have agreements with, some loyalty. They've already signed the loyalty agreement, Jeff. So you understand that I would probably, I have to show them and tell them about the best properties first. You're aware of that, right?
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And then if there's anything left over, I can call you with. Is that okay?
Yeah, no, it's not okay.
See, here is the whole point, you guys. When you ask,
When you do the leftovers, I like that.
yeah, there's a lot of analogies. However, what the better or the more you work on and understand what you want to ask, you can be succinct. And the point is, when you have hard-headed people, sometimes you're going to have to ask them a question that's going to stop them in their tracks because their thinking is flawed. If they have 10 people working for them, how many people are actually working for them?
None.
None.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're guaranteed to get the leftovers. And so what we're seeing here is we're seeing someone getting ready to drive off over a cliff. They're going to hurt themselves as a buyer because eventually when they wise up, they're going to be paying more than if they'd have just got in the market earlier. So we sometimes have to help them see the folly of their ways. And there really isn't a lot of economic benefit necessarily. I mean, and really the bottom line is this: what's more important, Jeff? You want to get the house you want, the price you're willing to pay, or do you want to work with a listing agent? Really, what's your objective?
Well, I want to get the house and get the best possible deal I guess I can on the house that we can get into, in our time frame.
Well, if you hire me to help you, I'm going to help you do that. If you want to work with the listing agent, chances are they may be more loyal to the seller. How does that help you? How does that serve you? I mean, they think we're going to give up our commission. They've been reading some trash out there somewhere. It doesn't work that way. So any other comments on that? I've got here something in the comments. 100% of our buyers sign the buyer. What's your concern about the agreement? So Jay, you're saying 100% of your buyers sign the buyer broker agreement?
No, it's not Jay. I don't have one. I was going to ask you, would you share your loyalty agreement with the group? I don't have anyone sign anything. I'm brand new, you know that, but I'm certainly going to do that from this day forward, which was awesome just to attend this meeting for that.
So Jay, you're saying you wrote that, right? 100%.
No, I didn't write anything.
Okay. All right. Who put that comment in there?
I put it, Coach.
So do you have 100% people sign your loyalty agreement?
Yeah, I work with everybody who signs the loyalty agreement, unless we don't work. That's the argument we give. This is 100% protection for you, Mr. Buyer.
And what state are you in?
California.
Now, do you have them sign that before they do the contract, which is by law, or do you have them sign that before you start looking?
Yeah, I mean, we introduced it right away. I mean, somebody just coming to me via referral, anything else, the first showing, the first meeting is absolutely free. The next consequent meeting or showings would be subject to them signing the loyalty agreement.
Okay. And so what if they push back? What do you say?
That's what I was picking up good points from you. But what I say is 100% of my buyers sign buyer broker agreement. And so if something comes on the market, is about to come on the market, who do you think gets the first preference of seeing the property and sharing the details? We want to take a look at whatever there in the market, but my specialty is I'm looking for something which is coming soon or off market for you. To get that access to those listings, we work with a family of buyers who have already signed the buyer broker agreement.
Okay, kind of the same thing. If you want to be a real basic script we learned a long time ago. So I think, Jeff, you've heard me say this before. Jeff, why do the best homes sell first?
Yeah, I have heard you say that many times, and I don't remember what the answer is.
Well, why do you?
Because they're the best.
They're the best, and so what do we call what we call the homes that don't sell?
The leftovers.
Leftovers. So obviously, if you want one of the best homes, you should be working it. Whether it's with me or someone else, you're going to have to work with someone to get you at the head of the line. Or if you want to be at the back of the line, you can, there's no problem. You can just work with one of the leftover homes because there's not a lot of competition on those. What do you want to do?
Well, I'd like an opportunity at the best houses.
And here, listen, all right, so I'll tell you what, and if they still push back, I'll tell you what, you don't have to give me a 15-year guarantee. You know, Jeff, look, you want to go look at a house today, right?
I do.
All right, would you hire me for a day?
Does it cost me anything?
No.
Sure, why not?
And if I do a good job, maybe you'll hire me another day?
That's fair.
Oh, by the way, have you ever sold a house, or is your house for sale now, by the way?
Currently, no. No, we sold our last house a few years back and are renting right now.
I got it. So when you sold, did you use a real estate agent or not?
I did.
Did you sign a listing agreement?
I did.
Why did you do that?
Because they said I have to sign that if I want to list my house.
Do you see any difference between being a seller and being represented and being a buyer and being represented?
Well, I guess the only difference is as the seller, I actually had to pay the agent. So, you know, so I definitely see importance to having a contract for that relationship.
Isn't it awesome though, in this particular agreement we have, you don't have to pay me? Unless you're in California. So this is
that is,
you get all the benefits and there's no cost.
well, that sounds pretty good.
So really last thought here in the chat when I see, unless I missed one here. When it comes to commissions on the listing, what are your thoughts of doing an escalation agreement on commission on anything over list price? That just came up today, as a matter of fact. I heard someone say that today, which I thought was a pretty creative idea. So, you know, you're listing at $325,000. I know California, you're laughing, right? If that's the list price, I get 5%. And this is kind of what the guy said. If it goes for 340,000, I get 6%. If it goes for 360 or above, I get 7%. I think it's pretty creative. I've never used that. I think it's
how would you structure that in a contract, Denny? I'm just wondering, like, how would you write that up in a standard contract?
So James, you were on that call.
Yeah, and I was trying to ask the same question. When he said that, I go, that's an interesting concept, but how do you put that on paper to say, okay, if we get multiple offers and we start getting it bid up and over, where's my commission structure built into that contract?
I think you just bracket it. You know, here's the fee from 325 to 335, 335 to this, and blah, 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 or anything greater than 10% of asking price, 15% or 20%. I think you could put it in there. I don't know if, you know, you'd have to check with your broker, check on the legality of that and how that would float in the market center or wherever you are. I mean, I think it's an awesome idea.
Wouldn't a bonus also maybe make sense there where, you know, we're listing at whatever percent, but if we get more than 20 grand over your price, you know, there's a bonus, or 30, you know, whatever, like just do it as a bonus versus a change in the commission.
Yeah. And you guys, here's my agents, if they start going down that road, what they're going to do is start listing lower. And, you know, if you list it low enough, you can go double the asking price, right? So you'd have to be careful going down that road. And if you guys experiment with it and find out it works, that'd be awesome. Come back and share it. I think we're going to be in Mexico next week on Tuesday. I trust that you guys got something out of this. I got to pop over to a coaching call real quick. Anything before we go, any ahas, give me a couple ahas to make me feel good so I can enjoy my day here in Mexico.
Well, I feel like that last statement that you just made about changing your commission for a higher price. I mean, the aha I got from that, if I was on the other side, I would be letting the seller know that I don't do that. I mean, I think that's pretty easy to overcome. You know, we're going to get you more money and we're not going to charge you more for that service.
Got it. Thank you.
Hey, Denny, that was priceless. And thank you so much for making time for us today.
Moses, you bet.
Yeah.
Good luck with your seller or buyer, whoever that
No, you
was.
said walk away, and I think unless he comes back, reasonable, it's not a good idea.
Danny, any way to get a copy of some of these loyalty agreements?
Yes, if you want to send a loyalty agreement, what you're using to Coach Denny Grimes at Gmail,
Okay.
I will post it on my Denny Grimes Mastermind site.
Thank you, Danny, for appreciate your vacation.
You guys are awesome. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Danny.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Danny.
Thanks, Danny.